Coming in for landing. Right. Kenny Dichter, ladies and gentlemen. Kenny, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have you here. We're going to talk a little bit about Wheels Up, celebrating its 3rd year, right, this month?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Congratulations on that. So we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about that. But I want to go back a little bit because you've been busy, man. You've done a lot of amazing things. I want to talk about your journey a little bit. Tell us about the first business that you started, the first one. Go all the way back.
The first one all the way back, I guess my first job, and you could call it a business, was a paper route.
I knew it. Yeah.
How'd you?
I had a fit. Well,
By the way, we're in AOL. This was before digital newspapers.
Of course.
People actually paid for paper, and it was an interesting job. I had a great. First off, I would say for any entrepreneur out there in the world, you need a good number 2. My number 2 was my mom. So whenever I couldn't make the paper route go, sure enough, my mom was in there delivering the papers for me, and I was delegating. I was administrating. So
learning those leadership skills early on.
yeah.
She's leading by example, too, right?
100%.
There you go. No, I said I knew it because if you look online, one of the first things you can find for you is in college, you and your buddies were, I believe, selling, you opened like a retail store in college, right? And started that. And so to me, I was like, all right, if he's doing that in college, obviously, this is a dude that had a lemonade stand, he had a paper route, he had something back in the day, so I'm happy to hear.
Well, it's always something has to give,
Yeah.
you know. My GPA, it was a 2.8, and my SAT was a 10.50, so, when you're looking for the low SAT, low GPA guy, you got him right here. But I would say that in college, I realized very quickly that the curriculum that was being offered at the University of Wisconsin wasn't quenching my thirst for what I needed to do, and I started selling T-shirts around the dorms, which ultimately evolved into opening up a retail store. When everyone went home for freshman year to see their friends and see their family, I stayed up and opened up my first retail location on 555 State Street, Madison, Wisconsin.
That's amazing. Is it still there? Did you?
It's actually still there.
No way.
It's not mine anymore. I sold
yeah,
it. I would say, again, for all you entrepreneurs out there, you have to be willing to build and sell and move and groove. Don't fall in love with your project. When it's worth more to somebody else than it is to you, that's time to sell it.
That's amazing. I love that. Do you ever go back and visit it and just kind of walk around? And just?
Of course. I love to visit it. University of Wisconsin, my next endeavor is to re-enroll as a freshman there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what I'd like to do.
Do they, you get a discount when you go in there? Do you? No?
Today the store has evolved into a different type of place.
Yeah, okay.
It's selling more of, sort of college goods, pharmaceutical kind of stuff, that stuff versus T-shirts and hats, which is what I sold. But it's nice to walk into the space knowing that someone else is paying the rent.
Yeah, I can imagine. So that's the first one. You get out of college, and then I thought this was really interesting. Alphabet City Sports Records, man.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Tell us a little bit about what that was.
Well, we've stayed ahead of the sheriff. As I said before, the paper route, there was no digital newspapers at the time, so selling paper was right. We were in the music industry when music wasn't free.
Yeah.
I like to say we got into it before Sean Fanning and the Napster crew got into business and changed the whole model around, and we got out of it before Fanning started it. My partner, Steve Nitkin, who's in the back of the audience here, helped me start Alphabet City. We built it. It was a sports music company, so if you've gone to a Knicks game or you go to a Red Bulls game, there's a lot of music associated with the way they present sports today.
Yeah.
We ended up burning that on a CD and working with the teams and ended up getting licenses from the NBA, the NFL, MLB, and we had them all going. And we ran into a guy named Bob Sillerman who had a company called SFX. And sure enough, with a little flash and go, they ended up purchasing the company. It was the first company we ever sold that had a meaningful exit. It was 29 or 30 at the time, and we sold into this big public company called SFX. And SFX today is Live Nation.
Yeah, for sure.
Largest purveyor of live entertainment in the world.
Now, I was reading online, one of the dudes that you were working with back then was Jesse Itzler, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Small World. He was here recently. He's got a book that he just put out that he had lived with a Navy SEAL for a little bit. Yeah. He was a funny guy. If you haven't seen that one, Build Watchers, when we're done, scroll on down, take a look at it. It was pretty good. So it's funny to me because it seems like a lot of the guys that you work. How long did you know Jesse before you guys started, or did you meet in school? How'd that
No,
work?
I met Jesse after school in New York.
Okay.
Steve and Nick and myself, Jesse, and a couple of other guys partnered up. We had a good, I want to say, almost a 10-year run.
Yeah.
And then, Jesse went his way. He's living with SEALs, and I'm, I'm flying people around.
Not too bad. So you get land and sea and air covered there. So,
Yeah.
well, speaking of people that you have relationship working with them, Doug Ellin.
Yes.
Now, you've known him for a while.
I know Doug Ellin.
Doug Ellin also was on this stage.
Yep.
How long have you known Doug Ellin?
I know Doug since
Come on.
I want to say, I'll age myself. I know Doug for 40-plus years.
40 years. That's crazy.
We met in 2nd or 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Doug was always a very thoughtful guy. I didn't know he was going to be a famous Hollywood writer, director, creator.
Creator of Entourage, by the way,
Yeah.
Doug Ellin. Yeah, for those
when he was a kid, Doug was my, it's funny, I used to protect Doug. The kids, Doug was a thin kid.
Yeah.
And the big kids used to try to take his milk money. I want to say that I redirected those guys away from Doug. They went on their way, and Doug never forgot that. And he ended up doing some amazing things for Marquis Jet and for Avi Own Tequila.
Exactly.
On his show.
Now, would you say that's a great little tip for aspiring entrepreneurs out there? Is always positive attitude and always relationships and
it goes back to very basic. Treat people like you want them to treat you. I would say that any room that I've ever been in, any business I've ever sold, I can still walk in, and it's like it's home for me. And I think if you're always consistent about, sort of the power of nice, which is a book that I've read, and it reinforces everything I'm about. If you're good to people, people will be good to you. And it's a really simple life lesson and a business lesson. And I think, in this crazy world, I think if more people thought that way, it'd be, world be a better place.
For sure, for sure. I want to, before we move on, because I'm really fascinated, but I want to know, I know you were on an episode, at least one episode, I believe, right, of Entourage. Was it?
Yeah, I did a couple. I did a couple,
right?
Well, if all else fails, I got my SAG card.
That's right.
And I know you had Matt Damon at Build a week ago. Matt's become a good friend over the years, and Matt actually did an episode on Entourage that we helped effectuate, and it's just been a great run. Like I said, if all else fails, we'll start reading script and having table readings and stuff like that.
What was that set like? Any great stories from working on the set of Entourage?
This is a rated PG show?
No, you can say anything. This is the internet. It's a Wild West out there.
Okay, I would say that Entourage, the set was very much like the movie and the show itself. Sort of anything goes. Doug is an unbelievable, he's the consummate professional.
Yeah.
The way he's able to organize and squeeze product out of the mayhem, that's what makes Doug very special. But I would say that, the set was as wild. They had the ability to cut. Yeah. Cut tape and everything else. But I would say some of the stuff that didn't end up on the show was, I guess there are some limitations on cable.
It's probably a whole nother show.
Yeah, of
somewhere.
Course.
Yeah.
Yeah, the making of. Yeah, it would have been a great show.
All right, so let's. So from there, right? We talked a little bit about aviation and all that. Marquis Jet.
So Avi Own Tequila.
Avi Own Tequila.
You had mentioned that for a second.
Yeah.
Do you know what Avi Own means? Does anybody know? That'll be the first hat or T-shirt that we'll give out. Who knows what Avi Own, the word means?
Interesting.
Right there. It means airplane. So you don't have to be incredibly creative to come up with another product extension. I was in the airplane business. What did we name our tequila? We named it Airplane. Avi Own. Avi Own. So somebody please get her a T-shirt, a hat, or...
get her hat over there. And a round of applause for the proper... That's fantastic. Now, as we're talking about Avi Own, it's amazing tequila. How many awards have you guys won so far? I mean...
We took down a lot of awards, including the best white spirit in the world in 2012, I believe, or 13. Avi Own was a great story. Again, you got to build these things, in my view. You build them, and sometimes they belong in someone else's hands because they could do better than you could do with it. We started Avi Own. It was a PowerPoint, maybe as thick as the notes you have, in 2009, or 8 or 9 or 10, somewhere in there. It started hitting stride. We sold it to Pernod. I want to say 2 summers ago. Yeah. And that was an unbelievable clean exit. And Avi Own is now in great hands with Pernod, the second largest liquor company in the world.
Amazing. Now, when you start...
By the way, anything's possible in America.
Yeah, that's right, man. When you start these companies and these businesses, do you start them in your head, okay, I am going to build this up to a certain point, and then I'm going to sell it to someone who could take it to the next level. And if that is the thought going into it, do you have sort of mile markers along the way that you shoot for to get to that point? Or does it kind of one day at a time and just work as hard as you can? Like, there's got to be
Well, I think first and foremost, exits and selling your business takes care of itself if you build a good business.
Right.
So everybody out there, you can't really wake up and say, I'm going to build a business and I'm going to sell it to this guy or this girl, that girl, this company, that company. You got to build a great business. And if you build a great business, a lot of people will want it, be interested in it. So I think when you're developing a plan, what I like to do is I look to see where there's a niche in the market, something out there that nobody's covering the right way, and I like to push our business in that direction because I don't like to be in the crowded side of the room. I like to be in the side of the room where nobody else is in. And if you build that well and you build your niche out, and just to borrow from Jeff Bezos, if you take care of your customer, you treat your customer like a rock star, your customers will treat you like a rock star.
That's good advice. Now, to that end, let's talk a little bit about Wheels Up. So 3 years just happened, right? That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
3 years this week.
3 years this week. Happy birthday. So,
Thank you.
Round of applause. I was reading this, and I thought this was really interesting and a great little tidbit that you guys, in less than 3 years, achieved what was called half unicorn status, which...
It's a lot safer to be a half unicorn than a unicorn.
Now,
So another T-shirt or hat, who knows what a unicorn is? Right there, back right. A private company that gets to $1 billion valuation. And what's happening is there's a hunt going on right now. People are trying to kill unicorns, which is, they've had their day, and a lot of companies that maybe didn't deserve that valuation are getting sort of found out. I felt like when we did our last round of financing with T. Rowe Price and Fidelity, having half unicorn status, which is $500 million. We made that up, by the way. I don't think there were any half unicorns before we coined it. Being a half unicorn is a little bit safer because we have a lot of room to grow.
which half of the unicorn are you?
We're the front half.
We're the front half. Got it. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I would also say something. I didn't disclose something in the beginning of the interview. I have something called ADA. Does anybody know what Forte?
Attention.
Does anybody know?
I'm going to go attention. I'm going to say deficit, and then
Advantage.
Advantage. There we are.
Yeah. So I have ADA and OCA, obsessive compulsive advantage, which is very different.
that.
Very different than its cousin, ADD and OCD, which is those things impair your ability to function.
I'm taking that with me. I like that.
That's all right. I already own the URL, so you can
fair
you
enough.
can,
All right.
license it.
All right.
But it's all good. I just wanted to disclose that to the crowd, that you're talking to somebody who has ADA.
So real quick, I looked this up and I wanted to share this because I thought this was really, really interesting. So we have unicorn status, and this could be true. I mean, Wikipedia, anything, it's the internet. Apparently in Canada, they don't have unicorns. They call them narwhals.
What are they called?
They call them narwhals because they're the unicorns of the sea. It's the same idea, same definition. It's just adorable because there's these, if you've never seen a narwhal, it's basically a whale with a horn coming out of the front of it, and I guess they're prominent in Canada? I don't know. Like I said, look, I don't expect a big reaction.
How many narwhals are there?
Okay, somebody give me a rough number. Amount of narwhals? There we go, several thousand.
It's amazing.
I believe that just as much as anything I read on the internet. So. Yeah. All right, but anyways, I just wanted to share that. I thought that was great. Okay, so half unicorn status, 3 years, it's amazing. But I want to talk about how's it different? It's very different from some of the things you've done in the aviation space before. But just exactly how? I want to talk a little bit about.
The good news is, I would also encourage everybody to have a good mentor or mentee. Be a mentee for, have a good mentor. I learned the aviation business from the guy who founded it. There was the Wright brothers in 1903, December 17th, 1903. That was first flight. And then in 1986, Richard Santulli created fractional jet ownership. And Richard was the person that gave Stephen, myself, Jesse, our opportunity in 2001 to start Marquis Jet. Richard famously sold his business a couple of years before we partnered with him to Warren Buffett. To think a low SAT, 1050, low GPA, 2.8, and an ADA could ever be in business with Warren Buffett, that's an amazing, country that we live in. But I got to learn aviation from Richard, and I got to learn a little bit of business by being around Warren, and led me to my next iteration in the private aviation business, which is Wheels Up. And Wheels Up is a lot more like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Costco, which is a subscription model, versus sort of an old line aviation company, a logistics company. So,
And I feel like a lot of the things that make Wheels Up kind of unique and great are very much like rooted in technology and the technology that we have available today. Is that something that you feel like Wheels Up exists because we all have these little supercomputers, and you kind of connected the dots in your head, and you were like, oh, we could do these amazing things and bring sort of this model to this world?
well, when we started Wheels Up, and when I was back in my old life at Marquis and NetJet, there was no such thing as people being able to be geolocated on their phones. And when you can geolocate humans, meaning passengers and crew and airplanes, it really makes things a lot easier. And again, I would say I'm not a technologist, but I play one on TV, Entourage maybe.
Yeah.
But the the smartphone, if you're not wrapping technology and you're not having the smartphone at the center of your business moving forward, you're going to be like the dinosaurs in the Pleistocene. You're going to end up not in the game. And technology moving forward is going to play a huge, a huge role in Wheels Up and in 8760, which is our other brand that we're outselling membership in. And I think that, listen, we have a couple of things going for us. First off, we've put $465 million to work in the last 3 years. So when you talk about businesses and entrepreneurship, one thing is if you have the ability to raise money and put money into your business, it means that the other people that are competing with you, they got to keep up, or they're not going to be able to compete. So we've already put $465 million into Wheels Up in the 3 years, and that creates a nice moat around our business. And what we're doing differently is Marquis and NetJet really required that you made big commitments to the company that we once were. NetJet, it was millions of dollars. Marquis, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can join Wheels Up Forte. I'll take your credit card when we step away for a break. $17,500. We can put on your credit card. You could pay it up. Pay it off.
Full disclosure, I just paid for a wedding. I don't know if that's going to work out, but we'll talk. Well,
listen,
my credit card.
One thing that you need as a CEO or as a casino host is the ability to extend credit. I like the way you look. I think that you might be able to pay it off in one day. So
I'll take that. All right, there we go.
We'll extend the credit. So, for $17,500, you become a member of Wheels Up. Now, when you think about private aviation in 17.5, that's a relatively nominal number when you're talking about private jets. Matter of fact, there's millions and millions of people in the country that could do that today, and there's tens of millions of people that are one deal away.
Well, for sure. That's the thing that's so amazing about it when I was reading is that at the end of the day, it really is democratizing the private aviation thing and making it that it's not just for super ultra elite. Like,
listen,
it puts it in reach.
10 years ago, and we'll give you a hat or a T-shirt. How much was a flat screen TV when it first came out? Does anyone remember? What was the number? 8,000. I've seen more, but 8's a good number. Anyone else have a number? Flat screen TV. There was another hand there.
I love this. Come on, who's got it?
5,000?
5,000?
You walk into Best Buy today or you go on Amazon, what can you get a 50-inch flat screen for? $499.
Come on, where's my Price is Right person? 501. 501!
So the number of flat screens, this is just basic math. By the way, you don't have to be a mathematician for this one. You could sell X number of flat screen TVs at $8,000 or $5,000 in America or the world, and you could sell 50 times that number if you're selling them at $499.
Yeah.
What we're looking to do in private aviation is the same thing. What was once $8,000 or $10,000 an hour is now, $495 per seat on a private jet. And that's really what we're trying to do: is democratize the space, make it available to more people, get people, younger people, earlier in their decision-making cycle, into our brand. And if you ask me what our brand was about, we're a winner's brand. It doesn't matter if you're a graphic artist. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO, or it doesn't matter if you're a Serena Williams, who, by the way, full disclosure, is one of our investors and ambassadors. So it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Cool.
If you're a winner, we want you with us. And that's we want to fly around winners.
Awesome. Well, we're going to turn it over to audience Q&A in just a second, but before we do, we're going to do one more quick thing.
We didn't talk about Juice Press.
About what?
Juice Press.
Juice Press. You want to talk
Does
about
anyone know what Juice Press is?
Let's talk about Juice Press.
Raise your hand if you've heard of Juice Press. We got involved in Juice Press when it was one store. There's one right here over at 10th and 2nd, but it now hit its 50th store. So, Avi Own, I like to say we're in Jets and Juice right now. So,
Jets and Juice.
Juice
Is that on the shirt? Can we get that on the shirt? Jets and Juice?
Jets and Juice.
We got to do that. Make that happen.
You know,
Brad,
one other big theme that I'm seeing out there in the world is that there's two words that drove my decision to invest and get involved in juice press. It's non-processed. You know, so much of the world over the last 70 years has been dictated by shelf life, which is, you know, you walk into a supermarket, a Twinkie's good for about 8 years. So you could go into the supermarket, 8 years later, you could still eat the Twinkie because it's shot up with a bunch of chemicals that keep it fresh or quasi-fresh. Juice press, there's nothing in the store that's more than 48 hours old. So when you think about non-process, our bodies weren't built or they haven't evolved enough for us to process those chemicals. So, you know, I have conspiracy. We want to talk about conspiracy theory for a second?
Let's do this. It's live internet. Of course I want to talk about conspiracy theory.
I think that big food, so you think about the big food companies, I won't name them, but the big food companies in the world, they have to be in cahoots with big pharma. Meaning, first they get you heavy, and then they give you some pills to make your numbers right. So I think there's some vicious cycle in there that I believe the juice press and the non-processed revolution is out there, you know, that's going to change. And full disclosure also, I'm a flexitarian. Does anybody know what a flexitarian is? I'll give you the plain model. If you tell me what a flexitarian is, I'll give you a plain model. Anyone want to take a shot at it?
I want to guess, but I don't want to take.
Forte, take a shot.
I don't know. I mean, I really want that plain.
Take a shot.
Flexitarian, very
a shot.
flexible in the diet. Sometimes you eat some of this, sometimes you eat some of that. It flexes. It goes either way.
Okay, so he's very close. Okay, God.
Oh.
By the way, that's.
I like that. That's got to be.
I would say Forte is a little closer, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that answer. I would say a flexitarian is somebody that's got a very big strike zone, as they say in their eating. I start out the day every day with a Mother Earth, a green juice. It doesn't even have an apple in it. It's all the vegetables, no sugar, 110 calories for 17 ounces.
Wow.
By the time I'm done,
Did you ever make a Bloody Mary with that?
Kentucky Fried Chicken before I go to sleep.
Are you serious?
I go the full gambit of what you could potentially do in food, and you know, I feel better in the morning than I do at night, and I'm trying to make pretend that dinner's breakfast. And
what time do you stop eating? Is that?
I don't.
I'm all right.
24 hours.
Yeah, you're talking to the right guy.
I'm always
Tell me
open.
about it.
Yeah, 24/7.
That's right. Cheers. All right, let's go ahead and turn it over to audience Q&A. I think we got a couple of things left to give away. Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone on over to you.
Hi. So my question is, with a successful business comes failures. What are some failures that you've encountered during your career?
It's interesting. I think any entrepreneur will tell you that his or her past has many failures in it. The key to being successful is knowing when the failures are failures and not pressing it. So there's a lot of people that have a business idea, and no matter what happens, they're getting negative feedback, the business is burning money, and they're staying in that business a lot longer than they should. So I would say that what you need to do when you have a failure on your hands is know when to fold the tent and move on to something else that's going to be successful, or have the ability or the forethought to pivot. You know, every business plan that you write up day one isn't going to be where you come out at the end of the story. So you have to, if things are not feeling right, you got to be able to make a quick right or a quick left and pivot your business plan. So I would say that you got to move away from failure very quickly, and the things that are working, you got to press the pedal down and go faster and harder.
Hey, Kenny. Thanks for being here. What are some of your celebrity clients?
I would ask you a better question. Who are some of not my celebrity clients? You know, I would say one thing that is innate in all of humans, that you know, and it doesn't matter where you're from, race, creed, color, geography, humans like flying privately better than they like flying commercially. It's universal. So I would say the good news about people that are celebrities for a living, and I would tell you, I am around a lot of celebrities, that's not an easy life, you know, your privacy, which I think is incredibly key. The autograph used to be the biggest inconvenience in certain days or certain places for a celebrity. They're out to dinner, someone says, "Can I have your autograph?" You say, "When I stop eating." Now, people are bold. They'll jump behind you at a restaurant and take, just bomb you for a picture. So I think that the celebrities love using Wheels Up to get from A to B, but I think they also like to use us because we are we're a very safe environment that they can actually have a little bit of downtime and be a little bit human. Because again, I would always say any celebrity, I would love to do that. I'd love to be famous in one city. Like if I was famous in Madison, Wisconsin, or Columbus, Ohio, I'd love to be famous in one city, then you can go everywhere else. When you want to feel famous, you just walk around there. And then
I love the idea of, oh, sweetie, I'll be back. I'm going to my famous city. Yeah, I'll be gone for the weekend. I'm going to go be famous. I'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
We got time for one more?
So you want some good celebrity
Two more.
clients? Serena, I mentioned. On the golf side, Ricky Fowler. You know, we fly the NFL's most valuable player on the defensive side, J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson. It goes on and on. You know, it's one of the perks of being a celebrity is you end up with enough monies to, you know, and we've democratized it, so we have a lot of them. So, you know, you have a lot of money and you can fly privately, which is, again, it's very human.
Yeah, there's a misconception that celebrities, because they have like a lot of money, that they just spend it frivolously, but it's like a big deal that like you've democratized it now. So I'm sure you've got a huge influx of like all kinds of celebrities and people.
We want to get celebrities and we want to get entrepreneurs in our product earlier in their careers than would have been possible before. So it's
very cool, very cool.
I would tell you it's a fun part of our business, but it's only 5% of our business. 95% is the entrepreneur, and what I like to say is the millionaire next door that built a great business. That, you know, by the way, a few percentage points of our business made money the old-fashioned way. They inherited it. Huh. We don't hate that, but that's a good vertical, too.
Two more, so right here.
Hey, Kenny. Since you run an aviation company, I was wondering, what is your favorite destination to go to?
That's a good question. I'm going to answer it home. You know, my most fun is when I get home, my wife and my 3 daughters. So when I come off the road, so if you ask me my favorite destination, it's White Plains Airport, which is not far from my house.
Really?
When I go there, that's my most fun place to go.
Mamaroneck, right outside of White Plains.
Mamaroneck?
Yeah.
And if you want to catch a ride with me, you're welcome.
Yeah, we'll go home. Yeah. I'm going to be very sweet for a moment. Some would argue that when you go home to your wife and kids, that is your famous town, is it not? Yeah. You feel like a little celebrity?
I was going to say, you know, it's interesting. That's I'm probably more famous on the streets than in my house.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, my daughters and my wife, they keep me very grounded.
Good.
And you know, they're my biggest supporters, and you know, that bit of you know, peace and normalcy is something that I think every entrepreneur that's out there with the lights on and doing their business, it's always nice to shut down and hang out with the kids and the family.
For sure, for sure. I think we have one more question, right? Over here.
Yeah, hi. I have 2 questions. You were talking about building a plan. That is my first question. What do you think is the first step to start your own business? And the second question is, what is the best way to pick and mentor? I do believe that it's important.
So the first
to
question
follow
is,
someone.
what's the first thing you do when you want to get a plan? Or what do you do when you want to lay a business plan down?
Right.
That's the question. I would say the first thing you do, it's great to organize your thoughts and get something down on paper. You know, paper might be a screen. Get your thoughts down and seek input from people that have been successful, not just in the area that you're looking to do your business plan in, but just successful people in general, because they seem to understand, you know, what type of order that you need to lay down a plan. And I think the reason you lay down a plan as an entrepreneur, every good entrepreneur has the ability to get other humans, other people, to help them execute their vision. So helping execute your vision might be going to investors and getting them to believe in you. Very tough to do that without a plan. And then getting people to join your team. You know, it's nice to have a plan. So I look at a plan as a communication tool where you get your thoughts down in an organized fashion and show everybody what the end game is or what the end game could be. That's the reason and what I would do if I had a business idea. What's your business idea?
I do want to do something related to food too. I agree with what you were saying, and
so you want to do something in the food space?
Yeah, for sure.
The good news is that the digital world or the Internet of Things in the foreseeable future, our lifetimes, will not disintermediate 7.3 billion people eating every, you know, in my case, every 60 minutes. In most cases, every few hours. So the good news in the food business, if you have a good idea, you have about 7.3 billion people that are potential customers. Second question, what was your second one?
About the mentor, yeah.
How do you find one? What do you do?
How do you pick one? I believe.
What do you do when you get one?
Yeah.
What do you do when you get one, or how do you find the mentor? What's the question?
Yeah, how you pick the right person, how you can make that decision and say, I want to work
Well,
with this person?
not every person that's out there to mentor, your perfect mentor might not look at you as the perfect mentee. So the first thing you have to do is find a mentor that's willing to mentor. And I think that the key to mentoring is really spending proper time, working through issues that the person that you're mentoring needs you on. It's great to say, hey, this person's my mentor, but if they don't have any time for you, you're better off picking a different mentor. I would say that, again, anybody that you look up to and that you admire, for whatever reason that might be, it could be they have great values, they have a great business mind, seek the person that can fill the area of expertise that you don't have. Don't pick a mentor that you're an expert in one thing. Don't pick a mentor who's an expert in the same thing. Pick a mentor that's got a different skill set, that's had a lot of success, and I think success begets success. So if you're around winners, winners beget winners, and I think that that's what you got to do. And I think being a mentee, you have to just show a lot of respect, and you have to take the mentor's advice and have some trust, because it's not fun being a mentor if the person you say right and the mentee is going to go left. That wouldn't be a fun relationship.
That's perfect. Well, I want to thank.
You want to take a bonus question?
Want to do a bonus? Want to do one more? You want to do one more, guys?
We'll
Okay,
take
one
we'll
more.
take a
I got right in the
bonus.
front row.
I was waiting for your question.
There we go. Microphone right behind you.
I'm curious to know, I'm a young woman entrepreneur. I go to school for business online now.
Where?
Palm Beach State. It's from Florida. I just moved from Florida to New York.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm curious to know the hardest thing, I'm blessed to be around a lot of individuals at different events that I go to that are entrepreneurs and well off, and the hardest thing is to develop that relationship. You meet them, but how do you flip the car over to actually turn that into a relationship that could potentially be a mentorship or advice when you need it? Because that's the hardest thing in relationships. How do you just develop that?
I would say, first and foremost, anybody that's successful, or most people that are successful, want to share information. They want to share experience with others. So I think that's a very human trait. I think you can't be scared to ask for the order, meaning no one's going to mentor you or no one's going to answer a question you may have about business unless you actually ask them the question. I'll give an example of something that happened to me, because you never stop learning and you never want to stop meeting people. I was in Saint-Tropez, France last week, and through the people that I was with on the trip, someone mentioned to me that an entrepreneur was on a boat, and he was a guy from Denmark, and he had a company that he's just bringing to New York called Joe and the Juice. So he makes coffee and he does juice. He's got 3 locations in New York. We have 40, so we're bigger here. But I said to myself, you know what? I'd love to meet this person. So what happened was they told me he was staying on a boat in town called Vanquish. It's a 120-foot boat. This was no sailboat. This is a real boat. And I said to myself, you know what? I could pretend that I'm on vacation and just say, you know what? I'll catch this guy another time, or I'll run into him at a conference or something. Or I could walk to his boat, because I knew the boat and I knew the guy's name. And I said, you know what? I'm going to walk down there. His crew was on the back of the boat, and I said, is Casper there? And he said, who are you? And I said, I'm a friend of David Bryan, who happens to be the keyboardist for Bon Jovi, one of the guys I was down there with. And I said, I'm Kenny, and Dave mentioned that Casper was here. So they go onto the boat, and sure off comes Casper. And I spent a half hour with him talking about business and life and everything else. And sure enough, 2 weeks from now, he's going to come to New York, and I'm going to have dinner, and I'm going to ask him more. And he was fascinated about what we're doing in aviation. And who knows where that goes. But I would just say that even today, I'm not scared to ask for the order or go meet somebody. I don't know it all, in any way, shape, or form. And I would say, as anybody sitting out here in the audience, I would say that anything is possible in America. I would say that everybody in the audience, if they don't have Wheels Up money right now, you're one deal away. You're one business away from having Wheels Up money, and I think that's a great thing about this country. And I would just encourage everybody that has an idea in their head. You don't have to be the lead person as an entrepreneur. You could be the number 2 or 3. I think the number 2 or 3 person at Facebook is still living pretty good.
Still doing all right?
Yeah, they're doing all right. So you don't always have to be the lead person. You don't have to be the quarterback. You could be the wide receiver. You don't have to be the.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you so much. Guys, round of applause for Kenny here. I want to thank all of you for hanging out with us. Thank you to those who tuned in live and hung out with us there. Stick around. We got a lot more show to come, but one more time, the great Kenny Dichter, everybody.